Welcome everyone to my Thursday chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. I am William Paschall. We are streaming blitz and classical chess with live commentary against viewers here. So we're playing blitz and classical 5 to 8 minute chess with a small increment between 3 and 5 seconds. You can use the 5-second increment with the faster time controls that are blitz, like 5 or 6 minutes. Welcome everybody. This will be my last stream for over a week. So we are going to Prague to play the European Poker Tour. We'll be back streaming again chess on December 20th. Tuesday, December 20th. I'll update the schedule, or at least I'll leave a note on Twitch as to when the next stream will be. We've got 2 challenges here, 3 challenges. Malac, M47. I call him Malac because it looks like Malac, and Hungarian is pig. Malac, constant change, and max 123. Haven't seen Malac in a while. Alright. 3 tough players, basically. Or not. Well, that's weird. Yeah, all the games have been unrated. He's got provisional ratings. That's weird. I can't believe he has provisional ratings. I never realized that. Okay, C4. Today's a normal stream, no weird openings like yesterday. So I think I've tried pretty much everything. Let's try like a kind of fundamental closed Sicilian approach. Maybe some kind of reverse Grand Prix attack. I'm sure I've tried that against him at least once in the past. Really depends on the move order here. When I was younger, I played the closed Sicilian against the English, and I did occasionally play the closed Sicilian for white. I never had too many games with it. I was never that enchanted by it, but I did try. I remember one game in particular. I played white in the closed Sicilian against Josh Whiteskin, and that was like this epic game in the last round of an open tournament where he was higher rated than me, and I had to hang on with like knight against rook or something like that. Okay, so g3. Now against g3, I'm going to play f5. If you'd played knight f3, I don't think f5 is quite as good against knight f3, although playable. Bishop g2. And black has different ways of developing the bishop, as you can imagine. We can go to b4, we can go to c5. And we can transfer the game to a closed Sicilian with g6, a normal closed Sicilian. So knight h3. This is a move that I have kind of recommended on occasion. In fact, as black, in the reverse of this opening, I have recommended this move, knight h6. Fresh Kid says, hello, I finally get to watch a weekday stream because no school today. Fresh Kid, you're from Austria, was it? That's cool. What a nice day to be alive. It's nice to be alive, period. That's my view. Alright, coffee's done. Knight h3. Yeah, I had a student yesterday. He played a closed Sicilian where he played a game with like bishop e7. I tried to explain to him that the pieces aren't really well spaced. Pieces are kind of clustered when you play bishop e7. It's much better to fianchetto rather than play bishop e7 in a typical kind of closed Sicilian type of position. Some people who aren't used to fianchettoing their bishop find it like kind of a strange thing. But I assure you it's very addictive. This is the longest diagonal on the board and traditionally is the best position for a bishop. It's not always possible to fianchetto both your bishops, obviously. In the closed Sicilian, it's pretty rare. It's not going to be possible for me to counter fianchetto in most instances. So, anyway, I mean, a3 is a move that I think is unnecessary for white. Better to play rook b1. Save yourself a tempo. I guess if I played a5 here, I'd probably justify a3. So, we want a3 to be kind of like a wasted move. d6 or I mean, d6 is totally normal. So my point is that the rook is still vulnerable on the long diagonal. So there's some question whether a3 is a waste of time or not. Although in this fairly closed position, time isn't as important. Now this is his justification. Bishop b2. Talking about fianchettoing bishops. I don't know if he did that to prove my point about fianchettoing bishops or not. All right. Well, this is kind of a tough situation. His knight can always come to g5, so traditional development with bishop e6 is kind of out. I could get my rook off the long diagonal as well with rook b8. Not really an optimal move. There's also stuff like bishop d7, a6, rook b8, b5, Spassky. Spassky and the closed Sicilian. Yeah, I have a bit of a problem because anytime I play bishop e6, he's going to have b5 ready to go. It is rather annoying. Although bishop e6 will hit the c4 pawn, buying me a tempo. So bishop e6, b5. I could also play a6. That makes some sense. Though a6. a6, queen b3, knight d4, a6. Now let's try a6. This is one defensive scheme. Sometimes in close Sicilian type positions you can play like rook b8, b5. Obviously, I have to play bishop d7 at some point to defend my knight on c6. But white doesn't want to play b5 and have me take toward the center in most instances. I'm a little out of my element here, guys. I'm not usually playing the close Sicilian these days, so I'm kind of going on. Well, I think I stopped playing this type of defensive setup really probably in the mid-90s. I remember as late as something around 95, I was probably still playing this stuff. But in the last 20 years, I've used all sorts of different schemes against English opening. King's Indian, Hedgehog, Symmetrical English. Pretty much everything you can imagine. Classical E4, C4, E5 lines with like 4 knights English I played with black. Get my rook off the long diagonal here. Always keep in mind this isn't a traditional position where like his knight is on f3. It is kind of unusual in the fact that the knight is on h3. His bishop is open. I'm not so used to playing against that. Bishop being directly open like that. Usually white has to take time to play like knight d2 or knight e1. Or he's playing a totally different structure with e3 like we see now. So, well, bishop d7 looks solid. I don't have a lot of time. 5 minutes each. Guys, what's up? It's Thursday. We're playing Blitz Classical. I'm leaving tomorrow to play some poker in Prague for 10 days. I don't think we have any Czech viewers, unfortunately. We really haven't had too many from Czech Republic here. Maybe occasionally 1 or 2. For some reason, don't have a big following in the Czech Republic, unfortunately. Alright, so we could play b5 now. But I'm not committed to it. I did play bishop d7. And now he's changing the whole theme of the game with d4. This drastically changes the entire position. We have to consider seriously playing e4. But it brings the possibility of him playing knight f4 into the game. Then we pop back with knight e7. e4, knight f4. Ooh, this is kind of a tough one. I guess b5 is allowing c5. We don't really want to do that. I can keep the tension the way it is. It looks like white has c5 pretty powerfully here. Okay, so I'm going to play e4. I think this is thematic for the pawn structure. I want to keep it closed. This is the closed Sicilian. We're shutting down his bishop on g2. And f3 will be, you know, a move that's kind of anti-positional. If he tries to play f3, he's going to have backwardness along the e-file. That's why when I'm white in the English, I'm reticent to do this. I don't really like fixing the structure. I like having more flexibility. So if I was m4-7 here, or Malats, whatever you like, I would normally prefer to play something fluid like f4, though that's a little tricky. You know, he has to keep e3 protected. So, I mean, maybe he could have played like f4 without e3 even, or queen d2. Another option would be just queen d2, trying to protect e3. Anyway, enough said. Plays knight f4. Now, I wanted to play knight e7, but then he plays d5, and my he plays d5. My guy gets kicked back to, or no, he plays d5 and he's threatening knight e6. So I want to have e5 for my knight. Whoops. I want to have e5 for my knight. The variation that I looked at was long ago, like knight e7, d5, g5, knight e6, bishop takes e6, pawn takes e6, queen c8, knight d5, queen takes e6, knight takes c7, queen takes c4, queen takes d6. Does that make sense? Strange position. We could go further further with this analysis. His knight is like trapped on c7 in that line, but my knight is falling on e7. That's crazy. All right, I don't have much time. I don't know. We'll see. We have other possibilities too. I don't know if he wants to play d5 or not. We're not committed to any particular plan here. White has a little bit more space. Constant change. Constant change is in the lineup, I think. We have a cue. Constant change, you lost your place in line there. What happened? You were challenging me before. Max 123, Apollon 84, Fresh Kid, Rick, Crazy. Constant change, did you intentionally take your challenge back, or did you? Okay, so now g5 I analyzed. g5, bang, 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 bang. Bang, bang, bang. Weird position. I actually calculated this to some kind of equal ending. We could also play knight g4 though. No, that knight g4 looks kind of interesting. This was not the original plan, but I think it's possibly stronger. Possibly not. We will see. But different. I mean, I just gave a very long variation with g5, knight e6, takes queen c8, knight d5, queen takes e6, knight takes c7, queen takes c4, queen takes d6, rook c8, queen takes e7, queen takes c4, queen takes d7, queen takes c7. Feels like I'm missing something. I think I'm missing something in that line. Take, queen c8, knight d5. Excuse me. No, I don't know. It's a very long line, a lot of exchanges, maybe it's about equal. But I'm trying for more with knight to g4. Looking for e5, maybe d3, c4 potential. Kind of Dutch-like position. objectively, the position should be fairly level. Queen c2. I expected queen b3, but queen c2 looks perfectly rational. Although he doesn't protect c4 here. Maybe he doesn't need to. Who needs a stinking c4 pawn? Now g5. This is not really, I don't really want to see another knight coming to d4 in the immediate future. So we got to get him going while the going is good. Basically, get him out of there, or make him decide what to do before a second knight is coming into e6. Isn't the closed Sicilian fun? He's also looking at knight h5, I guess. It looks a little dodgy. Definitely interesting, though. Knight h5 was interesting. Bishop h8, some ideas of g4, like trying to undermine my... Okay, queen c8 here, just trying to win the pawn. Should always analyze the forcing moves first, I guess. I'm not really certain about this. Interesting. With Mollis, usually, like, the both of us get in time pressure, so oftentimes the games are decided in the first 20 moves with someone losing. Usually him losing on time. But I'm having a propensity, especially in the first game, I usually have my blitz and classical streams of being, like, slow to calculate, and yesterday was no exception. I actually lost the first game. What? Okay, c5, that's sensible move. Very sensible move, actually. So he, like, sacks a pawn here, but he has some compensation. Try to break up my structure a little bit, but just keep in mind that I have knight to d3. This may be, or even knight f3 in some positions. Maybe a very good resource. I may just be up a clear pawn here. You can definitely argue my position is a little more weakened, but it's looking like a pawn. Healthy baby pawn. So he's gonna need to find something convincing. Knight d3. Practically asking him to sack the exchange, but I don't see any compensation, really. Queen there. Okay. Now d5 looks kind of necessary. Necessary and good, because I've got a dark square bishop. I'm putting my guys on the right color. And then we go here. Just considering b5 for an instant. We have f4 breaking through. f4. Just want to get this in while I can get it in. Maybe get some play along the f file to balance out his compensation on the c file. Yeah, now I'm going to have to take, at some point, maybe take on g3. No, I've got to take on d4 now. All right. Tactics are abounding. I guess I had queen f3 check there. It was a little bit stronger, but I forgot your rook was getting forked by queen f3. Good game, man. As usual, decided by the... Now, Constant Change got his challenge back, so this is some kind of new feature. That's like it remembers where you were in the line, which is kind of cool, because we always had to remember before. The sound of the webcam is a little out of sync. Is the stream lagging a bit? We're not dropping frames. Let me check. Looks like we are behind here, but I'm not dropping any frames. Frames per second is really low, Scheveningen. But there shouldn't be great lag. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. There might be some lag. On lichess, I have a normal ping. But the webcam looks a little bit choppy sometimes because the frames per second is pretty low. Alright, I think it's not too bad in any case. We will continue. Welcome, Scheveningen. Good to see you in the morning here. Constant Change is up next. We lost against him yesterday. An exciting endgame with opposite color bishops that I shouldn't have lost, but it was a back and forth game. He's playing really well. I'm going to play e4. He insta-moves. He's very fast. We don't know much about him. He's 1900 in blitz, 1800 in bullet, but 2200 plus now in classical. But he plays very fast for a guy who's only 1800 in bullet. I would think he would be higher in bullet. He's always like got this massive time advantage against me. You know, for a guy who plays so fast in classical chess, I would think he would be like 2200 in blitz and bullet as well. Maybe he just plays more classical than blitz and bullet. He's got a lot of bullet, 1200. 1500 classical, though a lot more classical than anything actually. 1900 blitz. I mean 400 blitz games to 1500 classical, so maybe he just doesn't play enough blitz. He would probably be higher. But I was speculating yesterday that Constant Change could be Shah, a player who played here a lot on the stream but sort of like mysteriously disappeared. Because his time usage, although his score is much worse than Shah's was, a lot of the games have been very close. This is not an accurate score, really. I'm 19-2 against Constant Change, but it kind of feels like I've been very lucky to have such a good score. I was talking about this yesterday. My chat is not coming back. So lagging? Are we lagging now? Anyway, so main line. It's interesting because speaking of Shah, this was a line that Shah and I had some discussions in. Although it's like one of the most common openings in chess too. I love speculating about mysterious stuff. Chigorin Lopez. But I think against Constant Change, I'm just going to have to move faster because and spend less time commentating because he seems to just kind of play for time. So I'm not going to give him the advantage of... Actually, there's another player that comes to mind when I think of Constant Change, but his openings don't make sense. There was this guy that disappeared. I miss you people who disappear. What was his name? Queen c7 here? Royal Python, that was it. That was the name of the guy. Am I supposed to play knight c3 in this position? For real? Knight c3, b4, knight d5? Knight d5, pawn takes d5? can see that, right? For me, the stream is fine. The camera lags. Yeah, it's really the camera, I think, with the low frame rate. But he just... Now, how are you 1800 in blitz, dude, if you're, like, can play, like, perfectly? I don't understand why your bullet and blitz ratings are so low. He's played 30 seconds for the first 13 moves. That's what I'm arguing. Like, why is his blitz and bullet rating so low? It doesn't really make sense. I've already spent 2 minutes. It's 30 seconds. It's kind of weird. So now, bishop d3 or something like that. Royal Python also played this line with black. Sean Shaw also played this line. Was studying this opening at least when I last saw him. I'm not really sure what White's supposed to do here. But it's a little hard for me to believe, Constant Change, really, that your bullet rating is 1800 and you're only 1900 in blitz. And you can play this fast. It doesn't seem really consistent. It's like he just instantly knows the move no matter what. I have to actually think. I'm an international master. I have to actually think about trying to find the best move. I don't know, I may have to just bail out here and play something kind of routine like bishop g5. 3 minutes behind on the clock so far. No real lag. It looks like the camera has you. Yeah, that's the problem. The camera's frame per second is really low. I can't set the frame per second. It seems to be whenever I make the frames per second higher. Maybe it's just my imagination, but it seems like we have more dropped frames when I try to increase frames per second. H6. Bishop h4. What else? I mean, bishop e3 walks into knight c4. I mean, I guess I could trade my bishop on c4. But he's plays too well for this blitz rating he's got. I don't know. Too fast, you know? I mean, his score is bad, but his speed is too fast to be 1800 in blitz. If he played well but he was slow, I would say, well, then your blitz rating makes sense. But he plays well but he's fast. And his only problem is that he plays too fast. That's the only reason he's like 2-19 against me. Because in fact he plays too fast. And if your problem is that you play too fast, why would your blitz rating be lower than your classical rating? So I don't understand. That's what's perplexing me about Constant Change. Like, you would be the kind of player whose blitz rating would be higher than your classical rating. Because you're playing too fast, you're blitzing all the time, but your blitz is pretty good. What is your bullet rating? My bullet rating is nothing because bullet is not real chess. Bullet is addictive, it's destructive if you play too much of it to your normal game. I have no need to play bullet. It's like the equivalent of masturbation in chess. I mean, okay, if you play like 2-1 or something like that, probably it has some constructive value. But I really don't see any need to play bullet. It's just something for like adrenaline rush. I mean, there's really no intrinsic value in it. You can argue that you can practice your tactics by playing bullet, but that's about as far as it can go. I mean, that's the only use of playing bullet. Increasing your mouse skills and practicing your tactics. Knight c4 here. Walking into the pin. Threatening knight takes b2. Well, maybe I just take, I would think. I mean, I don't know how much he thought this out. He doesn't use any time, practically, so it's doubtful that he put too much thought into it. It's kind of like he plays just on sort of like experience and intuition without calculating that much. He's got 2 recaptures. Both of them are interesting. I've been talking a lot about bishops versus knights in this particular position. I mean, most people might think that, okay, bishop takes knight is automatically a big advantage for black, but it's not always. Now, queen takes. Did he calculate this? Really? Well, first of all, I have b3. b3. We also have pawn takes pawn, trying to win the e5 pawn. So, I mean, you know, wouldn't you think it would be like hands down safer to take with the pawn here? But he just quickly played queen takes c4. This is probably a mistake. Maybe not so bad. This is played in 4 minutes on the clock to my 2. It's pretty impressive play by black. So we'll try to keep it simple here so I don't, I'm not worse. Try not to be worse if I can help it. Maybe I can draw. There's no way you're 1800 in blitz, man. I mean 1900. That's extremely suspicious. And you can play like this. Queen c4, queen b4. In very, very little time. Maybe he's 2 people. I don't know. It doesn't play like a computer. Maybe he has more than one person. Somebody plays bullet and somebody plays classical chess. Okay, there's a lot of players who are, everybody's like 200 points higher in classical chess. I guess when you get to a certain rating level, it kind of balances out. It seems like everybody who's around 1800 automatically has like a 2000 classical rating. But when you get up to around where I'm at, like 2400, that isn't really the case anymore, that the ratings kind of balance out. Now, bishop takes e5. He doesn't want a bad bishop, so he sacrifices his pawn structure and avoids any kind of stuff with knight to d5 here. Knight takes e5. If knight to d5, queen a3, I guess black's... maybe knight d5 is still okay. He has rook takes c1, knight takes b4. That's probably good for black. Maybe I should just take here. Now he's just slightly better, with a 1.5 minute lead on the clock. Very similar to Shan Shah. Just a bad score doesn't match up with Shan Shah. Shan Shah always had like 30% against me, maybe 40%. I played rook takes c3. What is going on here? I could play an in-between move. You gotta be kidding me. I almost had queen d2. He's got 2 minutes more than me on the clock. He's outcalculated me, outplayed me strategically. So I'm just losing a pawn for nothing. He's 2 minutes ahead on the clock. It's a little bit not a player, dude, who can be 1900 in blitz. That's a little too much. Maybe I can hold this. It's like yesterday when I had to grovel for a draw. Same thing. 2 minutes down on the clock, groveling for a draw against the guy. Something's not right about that. You can't be 1900 in blitz, dude. How can you explain that? It doesn't even feel like... I don't know. That's just too strong. You should be like 2300 in blitz. And I don't know about bullet, but... yeah. It's something suspicious about your ratings, dude. I don't like. If you can play this well, this fast, you could easily be 2300 in blitz. All right. Max 123. Max will probably see the same. He's 1600 in blitz, and wait a minute now. This is common. 2000 in classical. That seems to be around 300 points. 300 points difference. I don't know why that is though. Like, look at my ratings. I'm 2400 in classical and 2500 in blitz. It seems like once you reach a certain plateau, you can't increase your classical rating anymore. Like around 2400, just I'm in the top 50 classical players. There just isn't anybody to play. That seems to be part of it. So there's like a plateau where you just can't increase your rating anymore in classical, but my blitz can actually go up higher than my classical. But anyway, constant change, I don't understand, dude. I mean, you should be easily 2300 here in blitz. If you can play that fast. Well, the position is a draw. I mean, he's never winning that position. A pawn up there with all of his pawns on the wrong color. He's just saving us time. That in fact, I mean, black could even lose if he's not careful with all of his pawns on the wrong color there. So the draw offer isn't like a charity draw offer because I was angry or something. It's not. He's not winning that position. I mean, yesterday he had opposite color bishop, a pawn up, but here he made a bad move. d5. He was clearly almost winning, and then played d5, putting this critical pawn on a white square in the center of the board. That was a mistake. He's got 2 minutes on the clock, and put the pawn on the wrong color, blocking his bishop, making d4 an outpost for my knight. It really is like probably a draw after that. But if he hadn't played d5, black is clearly better. Final position is draw 100%, unless he's going to try to lose or something. So, correct result for the final position. Max 123 with g4. I haven't even castled yet, man, and you're playing g4. That gives me some extra options. I mean, I would really wait until black castles to do that. Maybe I could even play d5 here. A tempo down. d5. d5. I don't know. Even d5 is not that stupid. It seems strange to do this a tempo down, though. d5, knight takes c6, pawn takes c6, e5. Looks like... No, then I just play knight d7. It's okay. Alright, let's try it for something fun here. Spinal Tap, what's up? Yeah, digital player. Yeah, I agree. The difference is around 200, 300 at the base level, but the gaps close gradually as the ratings go up. Although, constant change is a little high for that big a difference, I think. Railbird 80, I'm lower in blitz compared to classical. Yeah, everybody seems to be. But his ratings, you know, he's getting a little high to have such a low blitz rating. It's something's not. And the way he plays, like he every game he plays like the entire game in like 3 minutes, and I need my whole 7 minutes to hang on. He's playing like double speed. So there's just no way he can be 1900 blitz on lichess. And he's not right about that. But anyway, it's an unrated game. Yeah, I'm playing d5 a tempo down. g4 was played very early. I mean, I know that I support myself principally with d5. I'm just not sure if it's good tactically or not, if there's some way White can exploit this. I have faced some very dangerous lines, you know, the most famous of which I guess is knight b3. Castles G4. That's who was it? Botvinnik versus Alekhine. It's a very famous game. In Botvinnik's 100 selected games, very, very important book to read. He played no, I might be getting, am I getting the colors wrong? I'm getting the colors wrong. I think it was Botvinnik versus Alekhine. It could have been Alekhine versus Botvinnik. Does anybody know? Am I getting the colors reversed? But there's a famous game where he played G4, and later it was repeated in like Fischer-Reshevsky, some famous game in U.S. championship, in a U.S. championship in like the 60s or 50s. But anyway, so knight b3, you guys, Constant Change also plays with knight on d4, not playing knight b3. Actually, that's why he can't be Shahanshah, because he plays these weird anti-theory lines. The Shahanshah always played hyper theory. G4, he took on d5. There is a problem here. Not really. I guess I have to be careful how I recapture at the end of this line. Bishop e2 is a wasted tempo if you go g4, I think. It's kind of like playing bishop e2 in the English attack. Yeah, I mean, you don't normally benefit from playing bishop e2 that much. But if you play knight b3 and g4, that's actually a theoretical line. Knight b3, castles, g4 is a tricky and dangerous variation, actually. I lost once against this guy, Avram Pismeni. There was this Russian candidate master who, he like came to the United States in the mid-90s and started like working his way up through like the class sections. Like first, he had games with, like, he was obviously a master strength player, but he started out in like the under 1400 section and he like won that. And then it was like the under 1600 and then the under 1800. And like nobody realized all along that this guy has like, you know, he's like a FIDE rated player from the 70s or something. I mean, it was ridiculous. Like no organizer caught him like doing this. For years he was like winning class sections, and then finally like he had to play in the open sections after they realized that, you know, he'd been cheating for like 10 years or 5 years of winning like under 1400 sections. So if I take with the pawn, he has bishop b5 check. But even that might not be that bad. Yeah, I can actually take with the pawn, allowing bishop b5 check. Not really. Queen takes d5, pawn takes pawn, bishop b5 check, bishop d7, queen takes d5, queen a5 check, whatever, and then I can't take on b5 because my rook is hanging on a8. So I guess we don't have to think too much here. I mean, this looks like a forced move. Anyway, it's like a standard move. Constant Change is a classical player. Yeah, I mean, it's possible his blitz rating is very old, but you must have improved drastically, you know, since you were 1900 in lichess and blitz, because you're playing like master strength. But it's not the strength of your play that impresses me, honestly, Constant Change. It's the speed of your play that impresses me the most. I mean, not to take anything away from your level of understanding, which is quite good. The most impressive thing about your game is the speed at which you find the moves. I mean, it's almost like frightening, you know, that I'm actually. It's not frightening to me that you're playing good moves. It's frightening that how fast you're playing them, you know. That's the disturbing thing. Queen takes d1 check. Yeah, bishop f3 is a good move. That's kind of what I was afraid of. Black is okay here. White's weakened himself with g4. So if we think about the position, if you think about this position like holistically, as you should, Black, let's not overvalue my weakness in the pawn structure. We have maybe, I guess my point is maybe trading queens is a bad move. Queen takes d1 check, rook takes d1, then I'm tied down to defending this pawn and this stupid structure and an ending. That's not what I want here. Although queen a5 check, queen d2, I'm probably going to have to play quite passively with queen c7. Maybe queen b5 is a worthy alternative. Kind of an odd square for the queen, but though a4 would just weaken his structure more or be a useful move. That's the dilemma here. I have queen e6. Maybe that's a good move. Queen e6, blocking my bishop, but leaving b2 hanging for real. We're thinking outside the box here with an atypical move. But b2's hanging, and I'm threatening bishop a6, trapping his king in the center. And after having played g4, I mean, I really think that White's kingside's not in grave danger, but long term he might have some weaknesses to deal with. c3. I do have bishop h6, which is an interesting move. Bishop a6, much more obvious. Bishop a6, queen a4, bishop b5, and then queen e4. What I don't want is a silly ending to this game. Literally. Alright, let's just castle, I guess. He's got 4 minutes to my 45 seconds. Seems to be a common theme. Max is pretty good too. He has a good score. And queen b3. Well, he may be listening to the stream and listening to my advice, which is basically don't trade queens. Bishop a6, no good. If I could only play rook b8, this wouldn't be so bad. Bishop h6, queen takes, bishop takes c6. I'm about to lose on time. Okay, this is a stupid move. I know queen d7 is not right, but I played it just because I was about to flag, and I couldn't find another move to accomplish my goals. White seems to be clearly better now. X1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's the same. Playing really well. I couldn't find a really good idea. Trading queens, I didn't like it here. This is a nightmare, strategically. Well, that's... Bishop f4 was not what I expected. Max very similar to Constant Change. Got the massive time advantage going on. And he's outplayed me, pretty much. Three-minute time advantage. He blundered bishop a6. Still, he has like a reasonable position. Even if he loses the exchange, probably like some chances to draw. I've got to speed it up, guys, but I'm trying to really, you know, to teach and play at the same time. So I go a little too far with, maybe I try to explain too much. Not leaving myself with enough time to think. Yesterday I lost to who was it? I lost to a new guy. What is it? Not Loudmouth. Anyway, I lost the first game on time. My mouse froze with like 10 seconds left. Luckily, it was a lost position anyway. But so Max is actually pretty tough. Another player who I think score doesn't reflect the way he's played against me. I think he actually deserves to have a better score than he actually has in reality. The 12-2 doesn't do justice to his play. Look how well he played strategically, like blockading c5 against this isolated pawn. Very nice strategic play. You see this a lot in the dragon. Queen c4, another superb move. I think he missed g5 last move. Exchanging bishops gives me a winning position. He had g5, forcing my bishop back to like d8, and then he has compensation. But after exchanging dark squared bishops, he might actually be lost. I mean, it's still like pulling teeth to win this position, but ultimately, once I trade off the bishop, my position becomes a lot easier to play. So it's a relatively easy position to convert. Still, there are practical things to overcome here. Practical difficulties to overcome. You guys are pretty tough for 2000 players. I mean, the average 2000 here is like sometimes dropping pieces. Okay, constant change is 22 now. That's more serious. I gotta be a little bit careful here. Safe enough on f8. Look at the stuff he finds here. Wow. Max's blitz rating is what? 1600. I'm like every game I'm like singing the same song. Like, how is your rating so low? I'm going back again. Need to find another move. Dude, how can you be 1600? Oh. Seriously. I'm like lost now? Alright. That's pretty impressive by me. Just dropped everything. I don't know, man. How are you 1600 in blitz? And you can do that. I was totally winning, but I was under time pressure every single move. Again. A rating can fluctuate, but I mean 1600s in blitz are like beating flies here, you know. So max 123. Another player, I can't explain his ratings. Doesn't seem relevant. You played like, barring one oversight with bishop a6, you played like a master the entire game. Even at the end, you maximized your defensive chances till I blundered. So I'm gonna try something unusual. I do occasionally play the Alekhines defense. And then white played knight to c3. I'm going to play d5. But I don't see how someone who's rated 1600 can play that, you know, consistently well. Max, you need to work on your blitz rating there, buddy. Your blitz rating is a little absurd. All right. So this is quite a passive setup for white. d3. But I can't stand being in constant time pressure every single game. He had pressure on me the entire game, like massive, difficult pressure. That was an extremely, extremely stressful game for black to have to play. The disadvantage of your commentary isn't lost on your viewers or your opponents. Yeah, obviously. I mean, they're trying to, you know, use it to their advantage in these unrated games. That's why I don't play rated games anymore. It seems like people are playing purposely faster to try to win on time. It happens a lot in my simuls. Apollon, I don't think I've played you before, but I do expect a master strength performance here. He sacrificed a pawn in a very interesting way for the initiative here. And I wouldn't hesitate to say he probably has compensation for the pawn. I mean, if I play pawn takes pawn, bishop takes d3, it looks a little scary for black, to be honest. So I'm thinking that the way to play this position is probably some sort of positional move to just kind of like not take the pawn, but keep a small advantage. The refutation of many gambits is to decline the sacrificed pawn in many instances. I was playing fast because every other game we played I've run into major time trouble and blundered drawn positions. Yeah, I have noticed that. Yeah, this seems to be a very common theme. I don't know what to play here. Theoretically, I could play bishop takes knight, queen takes knight, knight d5. Bishop takes d8, knight takes c3. We trade everything, go into an ending where it's equal. That's not really what I'm looking for. But I want to make a developing move. Bishop e6. Alright, let's just play bishop e6. I'm sort of choosing a move at random. I mean, the move feels like I'm just arbitrarily deciding to play bishop e6. I just don't feel like giving him the initiative with pawn takes pawn, bishop takes d3. You can call it like a-materialism. Some people actually have that. They refuse to like take sacrifice material. I'm just doing it here for practical reasons. Now a3, weakening his queen side. We have the interesting possibility of a5, but what? It's probably not that devastating. First of all, a5, take, knight b1, a5, take, knight b1, rook a1. Queen takes b4, rook, bishop a2 with insane complications. Interesting. Alright, let's go for it. I have less time, so. Fresh Kids said, should I cancel my challenge? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? We have a lot. Oh, Spinal Tap is challenging me. He wants to get on. Like, he smells the blood in the water. He's never challenged me here on the stream before, but Spinal Tap smells the blood in the water. He wants to get in on the action. He knows I'm weak, and look, Apollon 8-4 just goes right into this. Oh, like it wasn't sound? Oh no. Okay, this is a speculative piece sacrifice. Having fun with this one. He found that, b3. We don't know anything. He's 1400. That's his official rating. 1400 over 149 games. I blundered on move 40 in a -3 position. Fresh Kid said, should I cancel my challenge? I don't want to play you when you're angry. Angry people play stronger. Yeah, I do tend to play stronger when I'm angry. But there's a certain amount of tilt involved too. I mean, I'm not sure I always necessarily play better. Knight takes e4 is a beautiful, beautiful checkmate here. So we're going to play queen a8. Try to get some compensation. We are threatening knight takes e4 now. It's our main idea in this position. So he should defend the e4 pawn. Probably. And he didn't defend the e4 pawn. What's up with that? He's pinning my knight. Check it out. So if I play knight takes e4, he's pinning the knight on c6. He has queen d8 check. Queen takes d8, rook takes d8 mate, like a Bronstein 200 open games kind of thing. Nice try. This was not really correct what I did here. But I was see, like Fresh Kid, I'm kind of on tilt, so I started like loosening up and playing like speculative maniac style, sacrificing a piece. But I overlooked b3, honestly. Will Spinal Tap be the strongest title player you've played on stream? Well, I haven't, faced too many strong players. Obviously, there aren't that many. I played Spinal Tap. No, wait. Yeah, we did play one game a long time ago, and I played some games with Toth Andrash. I don't think that Railbird80 is implying that anybody's better than anybody else. I think he's just asking in general, like, is Spinal Tap the strongest player I've played on the stream? I mean, I think Toth Andrash and Spinal Tap are the only IMs I've played. Only other IMs I've played, if I remember correctly. There's not like a lot of title players running around, and most of them are doing their own thing, so I'm not playing in the tournaments that often. If I did, maybe I would play some of the other title players, but I don't really have enough free time to play the lichess tournaments. Who is Spain? Fresh kid fighting. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to just start a policy of playing faster on the stream, and stop giving you guys, like, handicapping you guys with big time odds. I think that it's starting to get kind of old, you know, like losing on time. But you have certain players like Constant Change who move instantaneously. It's a little bit like kind of against my. I don't know. Constant Change says he likes classical. He's a classical player, but I don't understand why he doesn't use his time. You know, you say you've improved from the stream, but I think you should take your time to try to play better moves. Like, you're 2 and 20 against me or whatever. You know, you say you only play classical. Why are you making instantaneous moves? You know, I think you should try to take your time to think more so you can improve your game. It's not about beating me, you know, on time in the stream here. The idea is to improve and to play, like, quality chess. Because, you know, like we've seen in the World Championship, the quality of chess has gone down because of the time control getting faster. If we want to play quality chess, it's one thing. If we want to just, like, you know, if we want to just play fast and win on time, we can play bullet chess. So, the players who play, like, to beat me on time, I think you're missing the point a little bit. And I get that a lot of my simuls. Fresh Kid, playing the Benoni with a knight on d7 is not really considered to be a viable system. But you might have, you know, maybe you can try to play a bad Benko Gambit or something to justify this. Cyrix, obviously. There was a guy who was 2500. This was the 2500 guy who was probably using an engine. His play was, like, almost perfect. I was just calling him Karyakin because he played, like, kind of a Karyakin style. But Cyrix, I was only joking, obviously. It couldn't have been Karyakin. Karyakin has better things to do, or anyone of his level. So, Fresh Kid 97. Yeah, my suggestion to play b5. I mean, this is the only way this piece configuration is even halfway decent for black. If you play, you know, you try to play Benoni style, you're going to have an awful passive game. So, this was really the only reasonable attempt for black. And I have played Benko style like this with black, and I think some strong grandmasters have tried this for black going back in history. Even maybe Kyrgyz. Yeah, I think I've got a recollection of Kyrgyz playing this for black, this bad Benko where you don't get white, like, stuck with his king. Normally in the Benko, in the classical lines where white accepts the Benko, white's king gets stuck in the center, has to manually castle with either g3 or h3. And here Fresh Kid, like me and Paul Kyrgyz, is trying to play without that advantage, you know. So structurally, black has a solid pawn island, open files on the queen side, but theory considers this to be like an inferior Benko for black because my king has not had to suffer basically. So anyway, about the time thing and people playing fast. If you're trying to beat me on time and that's your only focus or your main focus, you know, I think you're missing the main point here. Try to play really good chess. That's what I'm trying to do, and I think that's what everybody should be trying to do. Especially in the simul's, I get irritated when people try to just win on time, you know. They just become obsessed with the competitive side of it. But, I mean, the point of my stream is to really try to help others and myself get stronger and understand chess and really try to improve. So if we start putting time ahead of quality moves, I think we're missing the point. Okay, queen b6. Also, sometimes queen a5 into such positions you might consider because the knight can go to like b6 and a4. But I think queen b6 is also very logical. You can take with the queen on a6 in some lines. Hard to say whether queen a5 or queen b6 is better in this type of position. Maybe h3. h3 stopping knight g4 as a maneuver. I've never seen anybody do this. This move order that French Kid used, actually. More commonly, I myself have played like c5 straight away. And then after castles, I don't know. You know, mostly it happens like c5, d5, b5. And then later you play knight on bd7. But over the board I was sitting there, I was thinking like maybe Fresh Kid should do that because his knight is misplaced on d7. And then he's sort of Benoni with the bishop blocked in on c8. So this is actually a really legitimate position for black. I mean, all those pieces are in perfect positions. It's like a mainline. It's basically a mainline Benko where I've saved a tempo without having to walk my king over to g1 and h2 or whatever. But I'm not really comfortable because I don't play the Benko accepted proper. I don't like giving black the initiative. And I don't like taking material. I normally don't accept the Benko. I play several different lines of declining it. There's blood in the old water. d5 is not the move I would have played. Okay, let's think about it now. Yeah, you're right. Although, what move do you like here? You know, there's not that many waiting moves for white. I mean, I think d5 is okay. But what are the alternatives? The only move that makes sense to me is like rook e1. Maybe rook e1 is better than... You can make an argument for rook e1 or rook b1. But if you look in the database, you're going to find like dozens of Grandmaster games with d5. Not too many people play knight bd7 in that position for black, though. It's funny, Fresh Kid didn't even play the Benko, but he's playing the Benko like he played it all his life. You can't play h3 there, Cheveningen. With the pawn tension. I mean, I guess you can play it, but I don't like it. It's weakening the king side. If he plays c takes d later on, you'll never be able to play f3 like in the Marazzi type positions. Knight e8 is the perfect move for black here. We have to calculate carefully. What about bishop g5? Can we cause any inconvenience? I seem to remember a Karpov game in a similar kind of position, but it's very, very hazy in my memory. Well, Nimzozo, it's just like the most fundamental, one of the most fundamental kind of principles is that you should never release the tension without a good reason, you know. D takes c5 doesn't benefit white in any way. You might make an argument that it's not bad, but I don't see how it can possibly be beneficial for white to take on c5 in that type of structure. So f6 is a good move for me. Yeah, I don't know whether to like trade queens or not trade queens in this position, honestly. Should I trade queens? Probably, right? Am I just helping him double up if I do that? Yeah, actually trading queens is bad because I'm going to have to waste the tempo to play rook e2. So f6 is a huge weakness. But I think that shows that like fresh kid's not that comfortable in the benko after all. Probably black has to play king f8, or I would prefer king f8 to f6 if there's not something concretely wrong there tactically. Obviously, but any other move is a pretty major concession. If you can play king f8, I would play king f8. Knight c7. Now you've permanently weakened the queen side there. Okay, knight c7 is strong. Now what? Rook b1. I guess I play rook b1. Guys are definitely getting better. Why is f6 a weakness? f6 isn't the weakness. The weakness is the fact that his bishop is blocked on g7. The e6 is potentially like a devastating hole in this position. It's not f6 is a weakness. It's the weaknesses that f6 created in the position around it. You know, that's the real problem. Anytime you lose flexibility in your pawn structure, but fresh kid usually adapts very well. I have a pretty questionable score against him, only 5-2. I guess these are all simul games. All simul games. Okay, so I can't play knight d2, unfortunately. Guess we try to batten down the hatches here. No, I'm just saying, Benny Pro, I just said he should play king f8 to defend the pawn with the king. I mean, sometimes you can actually like trap bishops on e7 in the benko. There are positions where that happens. But I didn't really see that was possible in this particular position. All right, so here we go. Even now, it's not that bad. It's probably not that bad for black, believe it or not. I've got a lot of challenges. We've got an hour left, guys. I'm never going to be able to play 7 more games at this time control. Crazy, Scheveningen, Miralles, Etatsuar. I think those 4 games... Oh, we lost Spinal Tap. He was just joking. Yeah, he was like, oh man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to embarrass myself. Or I don't want to embarrass him. I know which he said to himself, but alright. Maybe like Bishop D2 here? Bishop D2. This keeps the rook off of B4. Obviously, queen takes, drops a pawn, so I have to play this. Fresh Kid is really tough. Only 50 rated games. How many accounts do you have, Fresh Kid? Just one? You just never play rated? Bishop C3. Is this even a good move? Probably not. A4. A4 drops a pawn. Alright. Wow, he insta-moved. It was like a pre-move. The best kind of Marazzi position is when you have the king's knight on c5. That walks over there. Uh-oh. F5. Whoa. He's threatening rook b2. Sacrificing a pawn for this. Or trying to sacrifice a pawn for this. Attack. Wow, what a cagey try. F5. Bishop C3. I'm going to try to turn this against him. We're going to go king hunting. Instead of winning with an A pawn, I'm going to transfer advantages to the king side. Trade my A pawn for a deadly assault on the enemy king. Queen H8. I think this is good enough. Is he gaining time? How's my ping? 41 seconds. I saw his time go up there. Or he was very lately awarded the increment. Wow. He doesn't have... He has perpetuals, too, in some positions. Try to play for mate, I guess. But he's got mating threats in some lines, too. I have to be a little bit careful. I haven't been in good form today. This is my last stream for like 10 days, guys. I'm going to Prague to play poker. We will be back December 20th, the day after my birthday. Don't forget to bring the birthday presents. That will be Blitz and Classical Chess, December 20th. Obviously, no stream tomorrow, no stream, until then. Okay, rook c8. Well, one way to win this position would be to queen my h-pawn, but I can't move it as of yet. Queen f6. Queen g6 check. Actually, this looks pretty strong. I might have had better. I don't see it. This looks pretty strong. I should be able to win the e-pawn. Actually, I win everything. That is going to wrap it up. I guess we were winning, but it shouldn't have been that easy. He probably could have defended better. We actually took one down. Thanks for the game, Fresh Kid. Crazy, another player who has given me some trouble despite his bad score. The games haven't been that easy. So I like the debate about the opening last game. In that position, should I play d5, or I don't really like the suggestion of d takes c. You should keep the tension. d5, I did allow him b5. So you could argue for something like, I don't like h3, maybe rook e1 or rook b1, some kind of useful rook move. It's a classic position, kind of like in the Queen's Gambit Declined, where both sides are trying to kind of battle for a tempo and not be the first one to blink. That's what the battle for tension in the position in the center is very interesting. So, okay, let's mix it up and play e4. DST, you did not respond to the poker comment. No, I mean, I didn't respond to a lot of comments, DST. There's a lot of chatting today. I can't possibly keep up with it. You should watch the epic video where Daniel Negriano said, "More rake is better while playing online poker." More better for him or what? Is that a new thing? Was this a relatively new video? It seems like online poker is dying. e4, I mean, I guess it will never die completely, but we're a long way from its heyday. Crazy doesn't seem to be here. We're going to give him like 30 seconds, and I'm going to take the next player in line. So, dragon with knight on c5. Not too common. The accelerated dragon with Marazzi. Alright, let's cancel this game. We seem to have lost Crazy. I'm going to play Shevardingan. So we have a lot of tough opponents today. Shevardingan 2307, and he likes to play theory. This is a faster game. It's 5-5-5. Let's take him out of the normal Sicilian type of stuff. How did you qualify for that poker event? Well, grueling stance. Now I play a lot in the past. $1,000 isn't that much. No, I'm just paying out of my pocket. Knight f3 is I can't really afford to play higher than that without a backer at this time. I don't mind playing 1,000. Paying 1,000 is reasonable. Knight f3. Unfortunately, there aren't really any good online satellites anymore. Online poker is, at least online tournament poker is really dying. So there used to be good satellites online you could play for these kind of tournaments, and now there's almost nothing. If there is, it's like some ridiculous hyper turbo that's basically like just giving away rake to the site for, you know, to play a lottery. I wouldn't waste my money like trying to play like some kind of online satellites anymore. Like 5 or 10 years ago, it was probably a good idea. Yeah, I mean, even just 5 years ago, online satellites were a very, very reasonable concept. But now there's not enough players. There's not enough reasonable time qualifiers. It's not realistic. But maybe I'll play some satellites, some live satellites at the EPT. Although, honestly, most of the events at EPT are really fast structures. Sometimes the blind levels, you just don't get to play very many hands. So the satellites, even at the site, are not very good either, in my experience. Sometimes I play them, but it's really like basically very fast structure and like playing a lotto. Bishop e2. So we have had a number of games in this line. The other day, I was talking about bishop e3. Bishop e3 is the critical move in that position. Miles played a number of games with black. I think bishop e3 with the idea of h3, g4 and queen e2. So that's why we're not playing bishop e2. We're saving that square for the queen. Scheveningen played d5 now. I guess it's okay. Probably white can claim some small advantage. I can't really remember too much here. I haven't looked at the quote-unquote theory lately, but Tony M probably played knight e7 in this position, if I'm not mistaken. The safest bet for black is probably pawn takes pawn, bishop takes f3. I seem to remember Miles playing knight e7. That's pretty risky. Dude, I don't do stock trading. Or any other kind of gambling. I like chess and poker, and that's enough. Bishop takes f3, or sports betting. Yeah. Games. I guess stock trading is a game too, but we only have a limited amount of time in life, and I only managed to learn 2 things. Bishop e7. Never learned to play backgammon. A lot of things other chess and poker players are fond of. Backgammon comes to mind, sports betting. There's only so much time in life to master a certain number of things, and for me it takes a lot of time. I mean, I invested a lot of time into playing chess, learning poker. I'm not really like, I'm a kind of a steady improver, so it takes me a long time to master something. I'm not a massive natural talent. So we have 2 bishops against 2 knights and a bishop, 2 bishops and a knight versus 2 knights and a bishop. The problem piece is the bishop on e7, and that guy needs improving. So maybe rook e8. I'm not sure this is the best way to do this, but it is a way. Scheveningen looks a little bit, you could argue he's a little bit overextended here. I mean, that's the idea. But he can probably consolidate his space. Day trading. Yeah, I remember once I went to a restaurant and somehow I was with family and the waitress was like a day trader and we're having this conversation. I'm like, you're a waitress and a day trader? That's weird. Okay, queen d2. I guess I need to play a6 at some point. The plan was obviously g6. We're putting pawns on white squares because we do have a dark squared bishop. And now we play queen takes or knight takes. I guess queen takes. Queen takes. This Carlsen likes to play queen f8, I've noticed. In some positions, I think he did it against me in our one rapid game. I've seen him do it other games too. Rarely, this is sometimes done in the King's Indian. Scheveningen playing quickly, but I have very deep strategic concepts going on here. Hopefully you'll get overextended and your white square bishop just isn't that great. But I think the objective evaluation here is that white has a little bit of a space advantage. So he's probably a tiny bit better, but I don't think white's advantage should be overvalued. A lot of people are like, oh, I've got the two bishops. You know, it's a symmetrical pawn structure. There's only limited value to bishops in a symmetrical type of pawn structure. Bishops really like imbalance in the pawn structure. The potential to create passed pawns. Another bad situation for Scheveningen is like if the dark squared bishops are traded and he goes to an ending, sometimes he'll have a bad bishop. Played a4, relatively random move. I'm not in any, I don't have any intention of playing b5. I just played a6 to defend the pawn and keep your knight off there. But we can't argue with his space advantage, I guess. He's fixing my pawns on a7, on b7 and a6. Maybe knight h5, trading bishops. Rook takes, knight e8, queen e8. The incredibly surprising queen e8. He didn't trade queens. I wonder if he'll pay for that because like the queen and knight are such a good combination. Knight g4. There's a tactical problem with knight g4. Bishop takes g7. Well, it's not such a big deal. I have to take with the king, queen d4 check, and then I have to play knight f6. That's probably okay. Or is it? Oh man, come on. Knight g4, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, queen d4 check. It has this annoying move. Maybe that's bad for me. Could play knight h5, I guess, if nothing else. My knight's not hanging in this variation. 2 minutes to my 29 seconds. Bishop e3. Alright, well this was my idea, to play f5. And now there's no bishop h3, bishop c8 type of stuff. There's no knight e4. It's a pretty standard King's Indian idea. You catch Rajabov playing some of these type of moves. And this is pretty tough though. It's a pretty tense position. I guess white is slightly better. Not just on the clock, but positionally too. I think he's thinking about queen b4. What's this do? Okay. Well, anyway. That doesn't change a whole lot. I'm in time pressure every single game. It's very, very much fun. Knight f4. And that's pretty nasty. I didn't realize that Shevchenko was so positional. He usually plays like the open Sicilian with white. This is more like a queen pawn game. Maybe you should play d4, Shevchenko. Maybe you've been playing like the wrong opening all your life. Looks like we're lost here. This looks lost. Another loss today. Impressive game by white. Just couldn't save the A pawn. Man, this is gone. That move. Now we both have passed pawns. Whatever that's worth. Yeah, I don't think am I getting mated? Whoa. Sorry guys for the silence. I'm just totally fixated on this hopeless position. It's been a really tough day today. It's a good thing I'm going to play some poker. It doesn't look like chess is boding too well for me. We might actually be holding this. Let's get the queen to a sensible position, huh? Very good chance this is drawn now, but it's still an extremely technical position. Obviously, I was busted before. And even now it's a difficult position. But at least it's not clearly lost like the previous one. His king's pretty open. I don't know what to do. Whoa. Alright, he's just trying to gain time on the clock a lot. Yeah. Probably better for me to... He's just a practical player. Jesus, man. King G4. Okay, he just got tired of trying to beat me. I mean, actually, what about this? Is this a win? Queen e6 check. Queen takes e6, pawn takes e6. King takes e6, king g5, king f7, king h6, king g8, h5, king h8, king g5, king g7. I guess it's not, right? h6 check, king f7, king f5, king e7, king e5, king f7, king d5, king g6, king takes c5. So I think this might be a win. Queen e6 check. Computer says draw. Wow. But I don't know if it has enough time to analyze this. No, king h5 is apparently an idea. It's not clear. My computer's not that fast, so I was curious about this, though. I guess this is a draw after all. That's lucky for me, because it was very, very hard to calculate that. You have a lot of space here. I was scared it might be losing. Alright, well, anyway, you were winning before, Scheveningen. Yeah, maybe it's just a draw. Obviously, you were totally winning before. I was lucky. So, I'm sorry guys, I missed a lot of the commentary. I mean, the questions and stuff. Playing on casino sites. You get more gamblers rather than pros. Does anybody here play on William Hill poker site? I have some money on that site, and like, you can't access the cashier, and I wanted to cash out my money, but I haven't had time to like send them like an email. But I'm just curious if anybody else has ever played on William Hill poker. I just want to take my money off the site, and I'm having trouble accessing the William Hill poker cashier. They're not really very highly regarded in the reviews of poker sites. Hey Morales, this is a very important variation for me because I can play the Accelerated Dragon. Now he's going into that. Actually, he's not. This is kind of like an improved Accelerated Dragon. The strongest move for white arguably here is e3. And then if knight f6, d4, c takes d4, e takes d4, d5. Bishop g7 is another line against e3, but I don't play that. But anyway, so Morales played d4. This is considered to be okay for black once I'm able to play bishop g7. Yeah. Well, there's not like a lot of good poker sites there, DST, left. Basically none. There are really no good poker sites left. Everything sucks. So it's not like I mean, if you can name a good poker site to play online, I'd be surprised. Bishop g7, knight c2, probably the best move. Other than that, e3 is playable for white, but equal. This is Olegast's favorite variation. Like playing for an equal rook ending and the draw. Took me 4 weeks to get $100 off of 888 Poker before. They're all bad. Well, I haven't really like harassed the customer service yet, but it's a little scary that you can't actually access the cashier from the site. It's something like an error message constantly. That's pretty scary. And actually, it's kind of weird because William Hill has a semi-respectable reputation as a bookmaker. So I would think they'd have a lot to lose by like scamming people, but we'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of money on the site. It's just the principle of the thing. Now here, knight f6. Knight c2 is the best move. But then bishop takes c3 check, b takes c, queen a5. And it's like a reversed Rubinstein variation. Well, the problem with 888 poker for me was that a few years ago they stopped allowing Hungarians to make new accounts. So by the time I was sick of PokerStars, it was too late for me to make an account on 888. Castles, D6. I mean, the Hungarian government's been threatening to shut down online poker for like 15 years. And they might well do it one day. I don't really play much online anymore. But 888 specifically like blocked new accounts from Hungary like 3 years ago. I was a little surprised by that. Stars sucks. No, it's not good. I mean, it's probably the best of the bad, but it's not what it used to be. It's owned by a criminal group of people who've like ruined the site completely. Other than that, it's good. I mean, they were all criminals in the beginning, but these are worse criminals than the original owners, so they give nothing back to the players. There's not as many players. There's not as many games. It's about gambling. It's just a disaster. But it's still probably the best poker site there is. But there is no good one anymore. Bishop f3, a6. There is no good poker site anymore. Maybe there never will be again. You know, it maybe the end of online poker unofficially has already taken place. I don't see another poker boom happening. Oh, here Morales has played this pretty interestingly. The bishop on f3 is a little bit weird. I normally would play something like queen a5, but first I'm going to defend the b7 pawn, and then maybe queen a5. This guy played a good game against me the other day. FM Chess Motion is watching. For non-US people, you can make money on online PokerStars. I can email you how to do it. Require you to play only people from your country. Interesting. I'm just so sick of PokerStars. It was a great site and they ruined it. You know, it's like greed ruins everything. There was no reason to ruin the site. They're just greedy. I mean, they had the market totally conquered, and then greed conquers that. Knight takes c6. B takes c6, c5 is interesting pawn sacrifice here. Maybe I'll take with the bishop. This is a safer recapture. This guy's really solid. From Spain. Okay. I don't know, for some reason. Yeah, they said it's a Catalan name. Okay. Very solid. He plays like, it's like playing Oligos. This is exactly how Oligos plays. It's the exact same thing. Very, very annoying. Black is equal, but how in the world do you win this position? Very, very difficult to play for a win in any kind of Marazzi type of position. There's a million reasons not to play online poker. I won't even go into it. Yeah, better to start trading on this. Yeah, to be a day trader. I mean, the stock market is rigged too, but at least somehow feels like there's more regulation to at least make it a little bit not completely corrupt. Knight a4. It's just stopping everything. It's really like playing Oligos. $2060. 1500 in bullet. Well, bullet is another thing, but this is like really gross. No way to play for a win. The only way I'm going to win this game is on time. Maybe he'll hang a piece. Theoretically, I have the better pawn structure. 6, this dragon islands, the dragon island, and 1 Isolani over here that can be used to like break. I'm slow rolling him here, I'm sorry. It wasn't intentional. That's why I was saying he might hang a piece. Morales is a good positional player. Simply overlooked a tactic. But the structure is favorable for black. What I'm trying to say is, if I don't win a piece, my plan would be to somehow play a5, a4, and then trade off the a pawn and have 1 pawn island against 2 pawn islands, and then somehow pressurize the b3 pawn, maybe isolate it, win a pawn or something, and somehow convert. A very difficult position to win. Guys, we have time for these last 2 games. Etat Soir, and winner is here. Winner is here. Is established. I just asked everybody to have an established rating. You got to beat the Spanish Oligas, but Oligas never hangs pieces. That's the problem. They're like magnetically connected. He's not very strong tactically, but he just never plays positions where there are any tactics, so it's like almost impossible to like trick him. He avoids tactics like the plague. He would have seen that one though. The 1 and 2 move tactics Oligas has got down, and it makes him difficult to play against. Very boring, almost impossible to beat. So Etat Soir playing the knight f6 move order. I don't know why I even play. I don't know why I even bother. Why I even bother playing this? To slightly increase the chance. It's not a Moscow variation. Decrease the chance of a Moscow variation with queen takes d4. Alright, so classical Sicilian. I block people who blatantly plays for a draw with white. Chess Motion says. Yeah, but you got to understand that Oligas doesn't play for a draw with white. He plays to flag you in a rook and 3 versus rook and 3 ending. That's different from playing for a draw. You know, he's clearly playing for a win, but the idea is to do it by flagging you with rook against rook and 3 pawns on the same side. You know, that's the goal. It's different from playing directly for a draw. Yeah, but I would block. I would block someone like that anyway. Anyway, I don't really play on ICC anymore, so I don't have to deal with Oligas and his sportsmanlike antics. Uh-oh. What did I do here? I played g6. I wasn't paying attention. Oh no, I'm going to have to play the dragon. Oh my god. I don't play the dragon very much, so we're on our own. I know a little bit, of course. But I usually don't play the dragon. I usually play accelerated dragon, or I spaced out when Etat Soir played f3. I forgot what I was doing. So I have to play a6 there. That's my repertoire. I played g6. I wasn't paying attention. Getting a little bit loopy. Carlsen has been reported for boring chess. Karyakin already banned. I never liked Carlsen. I just want him to win the match because I know he's a better player than Karyakin. I want to see the better player win, regardless of how boring they are. So theoretically here, I don't know where the state of this variation is in 2016. When I last saw the theory on this Black was struggling to hang on. So I don't know. I don't know where we're at in 2016. I don't play the dragon. I'm just trying to give you a full point by playing something I don't really know that well. So G4, pretty standard move, I guess. Queen A5, H4, Rook F C8. Well, actually, you can't do H4. You have to play King B1 first, right? So, Queen A5. I'm not going to tell him all the moves. He probably knows it already. I mean, if he plays this line and he knows any theory, I mean, the question is how much has this theory changed in the last 5 or 7 years since I really looked at it? I don't know. It was always pretty like living on the edge for Black as far as I know. The dragon is generally the razor's edge in terms of sharpness, and being sound or not is really a close call. Why not just d5 after castles? Nothing wrong with it. It's a very complicated line, and I think that's more complicated, to be honest with you, Scheveningen. I feel like this variation just stylistically fits my style better because it's a little more, I don't know, somehow like a piece configuration that I'm used to playing. But yeah, of course, I mean, you know, d5 is the main line. I mean, here, this is the main line. It will always be the main line. But I don't know the theory, so it's super complicated. It's probably okay for Black. Is it? I don't know. Why not just d5? Yeah, that's where we were. Okay, a3. Well, you know, so this is I don't think I have much choice, right? I have to play Rook B8. And where can you vary from, you know, B5 is not possible. The knight takes B5. Is there some crazy line I saw with like B5, knight takes B5, queen A4? Am I having some kind of weird... Is that a line? Doesn't really look like it should be. But maybe B5, knight takes B5, queen A4. I'm having this strange sort of pseudo memory that this is some kind of line. B5, knight takes B5, queen A4. I feel like somewhere in my travels I've seen somebody do that. But anyway, the problem is I might be remembering a different position, honestly. So I really am not sure. But you guys probably know the theory. But A3 is main line, Plucro. I mean, I'm not sure that there is another move there. Did you get a chance to think about my format change for the championships? Yeah, Mr. Fish, I think this idea of 3-game matches is pretty cool. Maybe you'd like to reshare it with everybody in the stream so they know what we're talking about. I mean, I make my personal preference known, you know, that I maybe I'm just an old dude and I'm used to the way it was, but I still think that the best format is just make it like longer classical time control. You know, that's the way the World Championship should be, in my opinion. But if we have to make compromises, yeah, I noticed like this discussion ongoing on ChessBase, with Yasser Sirawan and now like Satovsky, on ChessBase News or whatever, because they have nothing else to talk about. Okay, this is a sort of like White's wimping out here. But everybody has their opinions about the World Championship format. Let me say that like Sarawan made a comment about, you know, lengthening the match will cost the sponsors more money and having to, like, you know, rent the venue. I mean, seriously? Seriously? Like, I heard they rented like this warehouse space or something that really, it really was like in a pretty bad location where they had the World Championship. You know, I think that they should be willing to spend some money, and if they actually had any sponsors, which they didn't, because they didn't want to enlist anyone from outside their circle, it probably wouldn't be an issue, you know. Finding sponsors for the World Chess Championship really shouldn't be that difficult, you know. But they didn't want to involve anyone in the secret, corrupt circle that is, like, FIDE, the World Chess Federation. If it was a legitimate organization, they could have sponsors from legitimate companies. But being this, like, shadow, corrupt mafia organization, I guess problems arise when you try to have like legitimate sponsors. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Tough decision here, but I wanted to reminded me of a Karpov-Miles game, actually. Miles lost an ending like this against Anatoly Karpov. Very, very similar position. In fact, like, pretty much almost identical. Fortunately, Atatswar is not Anatoly Karpov. I'm going to play it safe with A6 here. Well, if FIDE wasn't, you know, a corrupt organization, they could have normal sponsors like major companies, and then like there'd be no problem, you know, with having a 24-game match. The problem is the internal corruption. All right, knight takes d5, drops a piece. He's trying to like checkmate me in the ending here. I could theoretically play g5, but maybe it's not so bad, actually. Weakens the white squares. Knight d7. I mean, it should be okay for me, I would think. As long as you're not playing Karpov here, you're probably going to hold on. But White didn't play critically. I mean, knight d5. Played knight d5 here. You know, they're obviously... Queen g5, I thought, in a similar position was a move. But maybe not this position. I can't remember now. But anyway, I mean, obviously h5 is the main line for White. h5, speak of the devil. h5 obviously is the main line. Now, trading dark squared bishop. He's also opening the diagonal. He didn't play h5. I'm sorry. He played g5. It just h5 bothers me more than g5. The actual move played is g5. He's allowing himself like bishop h3. obviously. So knight f8 is awful passive for black. This is a really awkward spot I've got myself into. We got to try to play actively though. Looks like nasty. I think I have time for this. Guess I can sack a pawn or something. Well, bishop h3 is coming. Knight e5. Knight e5 has some problems. May have to sack a pawn in that line. We don't have time for counterplay here. I mean, maybe knight f8. This is grotesque to play knight f8. But it keeps everything protected. This is a really bad move to have to play. But I opted for it because I just didn't like the other lines. Concretely protecting h7. It's extremely passive for black. White has a clear advantage after this, but I thought I can hold on. Rook c5 was suggested. I mean, he's just like breaking through on the h-file. It's too fast. Maybe I could have held that in reserve though. So rook c5 immediately. But in any case, I mean, I'm probably going to have to play knight f8 at some point. Senor Karpov. Well, we have 2 recaptures. We go with the structural recapture. I'm impressed by Atatsor, though. I told him that before. Plays really, really strong chess. Now f4. This is getting kind of dodgy, but I'm hanging on. It's really ugly for black. Knight takes, gets mated. Does it? Yes, sir. Secrets of Passive Defense. That's my next book. How strong is this guy playing? You know, seriously. I'm not going to go into ratings again. He's 1987 in Blitz. But he's playing like a demon. But now it's hard for him to up the pressure, though. Too many pawns on the wrong color for me. White square, white square, white square, white square. That's obviously not optimal. We've had a very hard day, guys. This is last game. I thought maybe winter is here, but we're going to be... I mean, maybe I could play one more game if this is over, like, the next minute or so. I think just finding a normal chess organization and getting serious corporate sponsors from the legitimate business world and having a normal match of, like, 24 games is the solution, you know? It's a 3-part program. Three-step program. Man, dude. Leave me alone. It's like playing Karpov himself. I could have played e5, but maybe I should have done it. At some point, e5. His only weakness is the f4 pawn. I lost on time. I didn't even... Good game, man. Wow. Nice game, dude. I'm not sure that you're winning, but it's clearly better for white. Winner is here. I'm going to give you this game because I hate losing and finishing the stream on a loss. But that was a painful game to lose. I wish this was a faster game. I'm going to play fast because I'm kind of at the end of my rope here, so to speak. Maybe he's not here, so we'll just bag it. Oh no, there he is. Okay. Winner is here. Never played this before. I expect master strength play from pretty much everybody. We look at the games from my stream today. I'm like thinking like the average 2000 player on lichess is master strength. If you looked at my games from today's stream, there would be no question. I don't think I played that bad, and I lost like 3 games. And incredibly fast too. You guys are pretty strong. Oh, who got me for the rated game? Who got me for the rated game, dude? Somebody stole my rating points. I didn't even realize it. Was it this game? Atatsuar? Nobody mentioned that they stole my rating points. That's pretty cool. Since all the games are unrated, who was actually playing rated against me? I would have liked to have known about that. Nobody mentioned it, or did I just miss the warning in the stream? I just noticed that I lost like 30 rating points. It's pretty cool. I mean, I am telling you moves and stuff, so it's kind of weird to challenge me to rated. Knight a5, that's a very sophisticated move. It's like playing Konstantin Chernyshov. Knight a5. Alright. The Chernyshov system. This will go back to e2. Yeah, dude, Tatsar, you're not supposed to challenge me to rated, man. Obviously, I'm at a big disadvantage here. It's going to take me a week to get my rating points back. Of playing like 1,800 players and getting a point per game. I thought you knew that. So embarrassing being like 2398. I can give you some more rating points if you want, though. E5. Well, I don't see anything special here. Maybe knight f5. Knight f5, bishop takes f5. We had a similar game yesterday, but slightly different position. Okay, knight f5 is interesting. It's very combative. Creates some imbalance. I think the knight on a5 is pretty strange in this position. That might benefit me. Even if you play tilted poker, don't bet any organs. You go to Egypt and they just busted an organ trafficking ring. That's the new trend. every day you're like, what's the world coming to? So bishop g5. Well, I like this position now. Bishop takes f6 is the simplest solution. It's similar to my game from Atatsuar from yesterday. We've got ironclad control of the white square d5 in particular. Very important in the Sicilian. It's okay, Vasham Chess. You knew it, but I forgot to change it. It's okay. I wouldn't have lost on time if I had known it was rated. I would have been like more aware. Anyway, now it's all right. I'm going on chess vacation. I'll have to like get 2400 back with like one off-stream game or something, so I don't look like an idiot. Bishop h4 here, h3, g3. We've got a very good game. But I've been impressed by the level of play of my opponents in the stream today. You guys don't have any rating points either to speak of. It's like a Sveshnikov. This is a very good position for white. Massive. Knight on a5. I don't want it to get to be a good piece. Could play b4, but it weakens me along the c file. Bishop d3. Just slightly improving my position. Maybe rook e1. Take it off you. Last time I saw, Spinal Tap was like 2700 or something. He has more rating fluctuation. I don't really care that much about my rating, but I don't want it to be like so low that it's like embarrassing. That's the only thing I'm asking. Knight c4. I should probably just take. Classic. b3. My king is on the same diagonal as the knight. It's going to be hard for black to generate counterplay against the knight on d5. But at the same time, look, he's playing these solid moves like rook c5, queen d3. To be careful here. Giving him ideas. Winter is here. He's not a player I've played before. He's also 1800. And bishop e7 is a strange move. Very passive, allowing tactics with f6. I thought you had much, much better than that. That is the first really questionable move. I mean, you can question his loss of control of d5, but most of the moves that Winter is here has made have been with a good intention. Although still, maybe look at this move, b5. Pretty heads up. Pretty heads up move. Jeez. This is not so easy for me. I don't like my king on this diagonal. We have to gradually improve the position. Try being 1100. Well, if you know as much as I know, it's kind of embarrassing to be 2398. I know I'm capable of better. Bishop g5. Well, maybe h4. I don't think it's really a weakening. You know, I think this position, this is a restricting move, and we just consolidating our space advantage. We're consolidating our space advantage with h4. He could have played bishop h6. He was concerned about his d6 pawn and maybe the f6 push at some point. But I'm basically looking for tactics now. And other things. Collecting random souls like Dmitry Reinderman. Yeah, it's tempting to play a4, but then I start playing on the wrong side of the board, it feels like. It might be better just consolidate the space advantage. Just very, very gradually. Whoa. I'm half tempted to play c4, honestly, but I can't ignore this. Two connected pass pawns. Wasn't the original plan, but with c4 should probably be a winning position, because I'll eventually break through on the king side. My knight is so strong. Winter is here. Yeah, 2,700 players. That's a good concept. They're good defenders. This is true. Okay, let's get off the long diagonal with the king. I'm not going to weaken myself with f3 now. Defends everything. I mean, I realize this is a winning position. Probably shouldn't take forever. But I've had such a tough day that it's like being up a pawn in a clearly winning position starts to feel like I'm not that sure I can do it, you know? We've lost our self-confidence. The main enemy seems to be time. And the fact that my opponents are playing well. With this defense. f6? f6 should complicate his life a little bit. Wow. e4. A bolt from the blue. Okay, whatever. It's all good. Good try, e4. Missed it. Maybe I had some spectacular win there. Rook takes c8. Well, now he finally lost it. Queen takes e5. That's a little too fancy. That's a little too fancy, isn't it? Yeah, rook takes c8. We'll keep it simple. Keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for letting me win the last game. Especially since it's unrated. Yeah, there's nice tactic. Rook takes, queen takes, rook takes f8 check, and rook c8 mate. So thank you for the game. Thank you guys for beating me up today. And I will see you in 10 days. And bring birthday presents. The birthday is December 19th. I'll be streaming on December 20th. So it's good to have you guys with me. It's good you guys are getting better. It feels like a lot of the streams lately have been, I don't think I'm getting worse, you know, so maybe a little slower with old age. But it seems like the players have been playing stronger here. So hopefully I have a little bit to do with that. And again, you know, I really focus on trying to play quality chess. That's why I lose on time. That's why I, you know, really try to use all my time. And hopefully you guys can do the same and improve your games. I'd like to remind you that I have a YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. I do upload the streams to there with some other stuff. And you can contact me with any kind of chess-related stuff. Stuff is the word of the day. So contacting me means my email, which is videochesstrainer@gmail.com. Except for Spinal Tap Chess, who's not allowed because I'm jealous of his 2700 rating. But anyway, we will be back on the 20th of December with Blitz and Classical stream. Wish me luck in Prague playing poker. It's going to be nice to take a little break from you guys beating me up here on the stream. Also, you can donate via PayPal if you are so inclined. If not, just help us here play some good chess on the stream. If you can donate via PayPal, do so, please, and I appreciate it, as I do and have appreciated from those of you who have supported the stream and the YouTube channel. Anyway, that's my spiel for today. We'll be back December 20th, guys, so take care and peace.